Hello there, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, on the basis of what time zone you are located in. I'm Syed Ali Mohsen, working as an associate software engineer here at Data Science Dojo. So here is a brief introduction about me. So I have completed my bachelor's degree in computer system engineering from NED University. Also, I am a Microsoft certified Azure developer. uh, Here the key responsibilities here at DSD, being a software engineer, I look into different software development tasks. Also, I usually use or work on different cloud services of Azure. Okay, so what is the agenda for today's webinar? So basically, this webinar is totally built or designed for the beginners. So if you are starting your career in cloud computing, or you want to learn basics of cloud computing, so this will help you today. Okay, so first we will be discussing the introduction to cloud computing. We will be discussing about different benefits and characteristics of cloud computing. Then we will be discussing different types of cloud services and different services that Azure provides. Also, we will be discussing some real world problems, and then and also we will be discussing their solution, that how nowadays business solve their problems as well. Then we have a short, very brief hands-on practical activity. We will be exploring Azure portal so that you can get some overview that how can you use or deploy different cloud services on Azure portal. And obviously, because we need to give you a complete learning path, so we will be discussing about the Azure certifications as well. All right. So without wasting any time, let's dive into the world of cloud computing. The first question that arises here is, what is cloud computing? So cloud computing is the delivery of computing services over the networks. And what is included in these services? There are servers that is related to the storage, databases, networking. Everything is available over the networks. Obviously, it has many benefits of using cloud computing. So here we have a few benefits mentioned here. So the first thing is the reduce the cost. So we don't need any large capital investments for the converting our on-premises databases on the on-premises resources for using the making our infrastructure to the cloud. So we just need to pay for the resources that we are using right now. So other than this, it increases the agility. Basically, it enables us to easily and quickly scale up or scale down our resources, so on the basis of our need. So whenever we need the resource more, and when we have some peak loads situations, so we can easily scale up our resources, and similar for the perspective. Also, there is a greater flexibility as well. So as all the services are available over the network, so we have the right, or we have the ability to work from anywhere. We can access these resources from wide range of devices as well. Obviously, cloud ensure us business to be continually available, as we have concepts of data redundancy in cloud computing. So it ensures different businesses to remain available. So we have it improve the reliability as well. Also, we have enhanced security, because cloud computing enhances the security. It enables the higher levels of security. You can secure your data as well by using the cloud computing. So in the light of these benefits, if we want to mention few key characteristics of cloud computing, then the first thing should be the on-demand self-service. So it enables a user to easily provision and deprovision the resource on the basis of their needs. So, and the second one, all the services are available over the network, so we can access these resources on the wide range of devices as well. And if we talk about resource pooling, so yeah, for understanding of resource pooling, you can take an example of public transportation. For example, these trains and subways and are the buses are the resources, and passengers use these resources to reach their destination. Similar, if we relate this in the world of cloud computing, so we can say all the cloud providers use this resource pooling and provides multiple can serve multiple customers from a shared pool. So they have a shared pool, they provide them these resources to the customers so they can avail the advantages of these resources. Then we have a rapid elasticity. So basically resource can be quickly be access, and we can quickly scale up and scale down our resources. So it is also a key characteristics of cloud computing. We don't need to use we don't need to spend our money over the unused stuff as well. Also, it's a measured service because it enables providers can manage or the measure the usage of the resources that someone is using. So on the basis of that usage, they build their customers as well. All right, so now we're going to talk about the types of cloud services, different types of cloud services. So surely you have heard these terms earlier as well. The first type of cloud service is the infrastructure as a service. So what does it mean? It provides access to the virtualized computing resource. It means you have all the access over the OS and over the network as well. So in terms of Azure VM lies in the category of infrastructure as a service. If we talk about platform as a service, this is the second type of cloud service. So it provides a platform for the developers to build, deploy, manage their applications. So you just need to focus on the develop and the deployment of your application code. So in terms of Azure, the Azure Web Apps and APIs lies in this category. And the last, we have software as a service that is very common right now. We usually see many examples of these kind of cloud services everywhere. Like we have Gmail from Google, we have Microsoft Teams, we have Microsoft Office 365. These all are software as a service. Okay, so if you want to understand more clearly these things, so we can take an example. We can take an analogy of pizza as a service. So if you have planned to make a pizza, so there are 4 ways to make your pizza. So you can go with the made in house, you can make the pizza. So it can be analogy to the traditional on-premises deployment, which means you have to care about everything. I mean, if from the kitchen to the ingredients of the pizza, you have to take care about anything. So it is like similar to the traditional on-premises deployment. And if we talk about the kitchen as a service, so it refers or it analogy to the infrastructure as a service. Like we just need to care about the pizza ingredients. We don't need to care about the kitchen. So for example, if we go with kitchen as a service, so we take the kitchen from someone. So obviously it has a gas connection, that's why we get the kitchen from someone to make our pizza. Also, we don't need to care about the oven, we just need to care about the pizza and then the cooking of the pizza. Then we have another way. We can go with walk-in and just bake. So in this type, we can say this is analogy to platform as a service. So now you don't need to care about the pizza dough. With the infrastructures things, you don't need to care about the pizza dough as well. So you just need to care about the topping and just cook the pizza. And the last one is the very easy approach. There's a dine out approach. So it is called pizza as a service. So we can analogy this to as a software as a service, in which we don't need to care about anything. We just go and enjoy our pizza. So hopefully this analogy helps you to understand these different types of cloud services. Yeah, obviously we are going to discuss in the later slides about these different cloud services as well. So yeah, let's move forward. So why Azure? So why I have picked Azure today? I'm not going to compare any of the cloud platform with Azure, because we have currently very famous different cloud providers as well. But why I have picked? So our main focus is to learn about the core concepts or the basics of cloud computing. We are not going to be comparing. Obviously, these usage of different cloud providers depends upon the use cases, the scenarios you are working on. Obviously, if you are using the more, you are usually use Microsoft tools more, and then you can go for Microsoft Azure. So if I can show you this, so it gives you a brief idea about the thing. But I will mention thanks for cloudnary.com. I found it very helpful to a good resource for this to understand different things. So basically, if we talk about a different cloud products, you can see in this image that we have the similar cloud service, but we have different names of the same cloud service. Like if we consider the virtual servers, we name instances in AWS, we name VMs in Microsoft Azure, and we name VM instances in GCP. So you can see here that we have same cloud service, but there are different names of the similar cloud service. So let's coming back to the topic. So there are a few benefits of using Microsoft Azure as a cloud provider. Obviously, it provides a scalability and flexibility feature which are needed in most of the business. We can scale down or up very easily and quickly just between a few clicks. Also, it provide us the high availability and reliability, because in Azure we have a data redundancy concept. So our data is redundant to many places, and with the different places deployment in the case of single point of failure, it prevents that single point of failure. So it makes more reliable your business as well. Then we have the security and compliance. Obviously, when those businesses who are sensitive to data, they want to secure their data as well. So cloud or Azure provides more features that can make your data secure. And the last, we have cost effectiveness. So the obviously most of the businesses are inclined towards their spending over the IT infrastructures. So Azure provides us a pricing model called pay as you go model. So we just need to pay for those things that we are using. So it reduces the cost of ownership of the particular resource as well. All right. So here we have completed our brief introduction of different cloud services. Up till now, we have learned about the different types of cloud services. So now I am going to talk about different Azure services, different cloud services that Azure provides. So obviously we have multiple services available in Azure, but definitely we have a limited time. So I want to list 4 categories of cloud services. The first one I want to mention it here is the Azure Compute Services. So when we heard this term compute service, we get the things that compute services is related to the resources and the capabilities that is required to build and run your application. So Azure provides us to deploy and run different types of OS virtual machines. So you can say I have first listed here the virtual machines. So it enables to deploy and run different types of OS like Windows and Linux virtual machine, and we we can customize their configuration as well. So we have complete control over the operating systems and application and networking. Also, we have discussed it in the previous slides when we were discussing about the types of cloud services. So we have seen that virtual machines lie in the infrastructure as a service, cloud service. Then we have here is virtual machine scale sets. So basically we can say that virtual machine scale set is an add-on on virtual machines, because it allows users to deploy and manage a group of identical VMs for the high scale computing workloads. Usually in high computations, we use these scale sets to scale down our group of virtual machines if we have some web application deployed on a group of virtual machines. The another thing I want to mention today here is the serverless computing. It is also a type of compute services that Azure provide. Basically, it allows users to run code without need of the servers. So what does it mean? It introduces a term called function as a service, because when you have a small piece of code, you can just deploy them on one of the feature of serverless computing, that you can deploy your code on the Azure functions, and you can easily use your code, because these serverless computing facilities or the services are usually event triggered, because when you can create Azure function on the basis of HTTPS triggers, you can make Azure functions on time trigger as well. So it depends on your usage or the scenario or the use cases you are working on. All right. So obviously, there are multiple benefits of using these compute services. You can easily or quickly adjust on the basis of your workloads. It will reduce the infrastructure cost, because you just need to create you can create a VM on the basis of your needs, and you can improve the operational efficiency as well. Also be as it also a benefits of the compute services, that it ensures the application are always available, because we have the concepts of data redundancy in Azure as well. So now I will talk about the Azure App Services. So these are the fully managed platform as a service. So we have three types of services available. We can deploy web apps, we can deploy and build mobile apps, and we can have API apps as well. So as it is mentioned, web apps are usually used for building and deploying web application using a wide range of languages as a framework. Azure supports multiple languages for building the web apps. Also, you can deploy iOS applications or the Android and Windows platform as well. If you want to work on RESTful APIs or something, so you can use the API apps as well. There are many benefits of using these app services. So the key thing is, when you are deploying a web application, so and if you are going with Azure Web Apps, Azure Web App, so you can easily integrate this resource with the other Azure services. Like you need a database, you can connect it with the available Azure SQL databases or something else you want to work with different Azure services. Also, it is easy to build and deploy. You manage your application. You have once you deploy the app service on the cloud, so it will deploy on a app service plan, and you can deploy multiple app services on a single app service plan. So you don't need to pay for these app services. You just need to pay for the plan as well. All right. So now I want to talk about the Azure storage. So we have up till now we have discussed two key services, and now we are moving towards the third one that is also an important feature for the businesses, the Azure storage. So basically, this is a cloud-based storage solutions. So there are three types of storage services that are available in the Azure cloud services. So we can make a blob storage. So it is for the use for the unstructured data storage, such as text or binary data. If you have some large amount of videos or images or audio files, you can store that in a blob storage. Also, we have file storage. Usually it more in the use case of this storage is mostly for the enterprise that requires the file storage. So they mostly use this kind of storage. Also, we have queue storage available in this. It enables the asynchronous communication between the different components of your applications. It is used for storing and retrieving the messages. All right. So remember, these are very few cloud services because we have a lot of services. We will be discussing few more a little bit after a few slides. Also, there are several benefits of using this Azure storage. Obviously, you need to secure your data as well. So Azure enables or provide various security features. You can encrypt your data by using different services. Also, you can ensure your data is available and durable because we have multiple layers of redundancy available in the Azure. So we don't need to care about on the times of failure. We can get back to and we have a backup for our business as well. Also, we can scale from small file shares to the massive amount of unstructured data. As we have discussed in blob storage, we can store very large amount of videos or the stuff we have. Also, it is also easy to integrate with other services, Azure services as well, such as Azure virtual machines, or if you have deployed some app service, so you can use Azure storage in that as well because you are developing a web application. Okay, so now I want to mention a little flavor of networking because it is also a bit important aspect in the development parts. So when we go for Azure networking services, the first thing that is come up is virtual networks. So basically, when we talk about virtual networks, we can understand this like it is a private network through which you can securely communicate using a VPN or something express route also. So basically, it allows you to create an isolated network environment. And if we talk about load balancer, it is also an important concept in cloud computing or the networking, that the load balancer, it distributes the incoming traffic across multiple virtual machines. So if you have deployed your web application on multiple VMs, so it will distribute the incoming traffic so that you can prevent the one point load, and you can prevent the overloading situations on a single VM. Also, we have Azure firewalls. So basically, it enables us to cannot access avoid the unauthorized access to our Azure resources. Also, it prevents the malicious softwares or the threats to our resources as well. So basically, Azure firewall is more related to the network level security protection. Obviously, we have multiple benefits of using Azure networking, because if we want to secure our data, so we need a connection, a secure connection. So it ensures Azure networking ensures to build a secure connection, and you can connect with your cloud services, cloud resources with your on-premises data. Also, it provides you a highly scalable environment. You can handle the increasing traffic or increasing demand situations as well. other than this, it is more Azure networking also offers flexible pricing options, so you can only pay for those traffic that is actually you are using. All right, so we have covered up till now the basics of cloud computing and different services that we have in Azure. Although we have many more cloud services available in Azure, but obviously we have a time limitation today, so we have discussed few importance and the key that can be used in the software development or that are important for the businesses. So now I want to discuss some real world problems, and we will be discussing about their solutions, that how businesses are solving these real world problems by using cloud services. So I have mentioned few problems here. The first one is the limited scalability. So for instance, we have an e-commerce company who was experiencing the limitation in their on-premises infrastructures, which made it difficult to scale their businesses during the peak periods are. So up based on our earlier discussions, we have learned that we use Azure virtual machines and virtual machine scale sets that help us to quickly provision and scale our infrastructure. So maybe the possible solutions or the business can solve their problem by using the Azure virtual machines or virtual machine scale sets that can, and by using that, you can quickly provision and scale your infrastructures. The second problem that is also an important problem, that's high IT costs. For instance, we have a retail company that relies on traditional on-premises servers, but may find themselves facing a high IT cost for maintenance and upgrades and updation or the energy consumption. So they may face a high IT cost. So how can they solve their problem? So they can solve their problem by migrating their workloads to the Azure App Service that provides the automatic scaling facility. Also the load balancing that we have discussed, that by using the load balancers, we can prevent the one time or the overloading situation on a single VM. So also we have some pricing benefits here as well. So this could be a possible solutions for resolving the high IT cost. Few more problems we have here is limited storage capacity. So for example, a manufacturing company needed to store a large amount of data. So when we heard the term large amount of data, we have our thing that come up in our mind, that is Azure Blob Storage. So we can store our data in the Azure Blob Storage. It also enable us to store our data securely. Also, we can manage our data more efficiently instead of using it on the other company provided things. Then we have a secure connection. If we need a secure connection, so I have taken a few example that we consider we have a financial service company. They are needed to securely connect their on-premises data center to the Azure to support their growing cloud-based operations. So obviously we have to read about different Azure networking. So we can go with Azure virtual networks or different with the VPNs, or we can go for the scale set as well securely, that will securely connect their data center to Azure as well. So yeah, these are the few examples. So now I just want to give you a brief, a very short hands-on or the practical exercise. We will be exploring the Azure portal. So if I go to this tab, let me share my screen again. Yeah, so hopefully you have received the link for this portal, or we will be sharing at the end as well. So here you can see this is the Azure portal. So when you sign up in the Azure portal for the first time, they offer you $200 credit as well, so that you can learn or using different Azure cloud services. So when you are signing up, so you need to understand few important things that is needed to be understand. The first thing is that the tenant ID concept. So whenever we sign up in the Azure portals, and a tenant ID is assigned to us. For example, we have an organization, so and we have signed up with an organization account to the Azure portal. So we have a tenant ID for this account. So for deploying any Azure service, we need to create some subscriptions. How these subscriptions important? Because these subscriptions help us for the billing purposes. So the cloud providers cost us or the bill their customers on the basis of subscription. For example, in organization we have multiple departments. Like in an organization there are a data science department, there is a engineering department, there is a HR department. So everyone is using their cloud services. So we can create different subscriptions, and on the basis of subscription we can analyze the cost that is used by the by different areas or the department of the organization. So it will provide you a little benefits. So now I want to give you a brief overview of how can we see different services. So if you click on this toggle, we have here a button, a tab available, all services. So here you can see we have so many services. We can categorize, we can see the on the basis of categories as well. Here we have several compute services. Here we have the networking services. Also we have storage services. So basically I'm not going to explain each and every service here because we have a limited time. So just I want to create a single resource. Let's go with virtual machine. So if you want to deploy a virtual machine, just click on the compute and go to this virtual machine. Here you can see that it gives you a create button, so you can click on the Azure virtual machine options. So as you remember, I have discussed that for the deployment of different resource, you need to create a subscription. So here you can see you have this form available for the creation of VMs. Also you can use different templates for template for creating the virtual machine. Also the main thing is important here is to see that we have a subscription available here. So we have already a subscription created. When you sign up for the first time, you first need to create a subscription first, and then you can deploy your any of the web service or the cloud service. So I will select the testing tool. This is our testing subscription. Or for creating any resource, you have to create a resource group. If we can understand the resource group by taking a concept of it's just like a container to your service. So uh, when we want to create any of the services, we have to create a resource group first. So I will create the new resource group, and I will name it anything like RG. It's a good practice to start your resource group with the name RG dash, and we can say the webinar test. So this will be this will gonna be our resource group for our resource, because we are creating a virtual machine, so we need this. Also we can name our VM webinar test VM. Then we can select our region. So I will select East US maybe. Also we have, as we have discussed, there are several availability zone in cloud. So we can select any availability zone or different scale set, but we just want to create a simple VM, not for many things. So we don't want any infrastructure redundancy. So we just can select no infrastructure redundancy required. Then we will go with the standard level of security types. We don't need very advanced level. So here we are creating, as we have discussed, that we can create Windows virtual machine or the Linux virtual machine. So here we have to select our OS. So I want to create the Linux virtual machine. So I have pulled the image of Ubuntu server. So it is a Linux. So I have selected this. Other than this, the important thing, the size, we have different sizes available in Azure. for the creation of VM. So we can select between different sites. It cost on the basis of the vCPUs and the GIB memory. So you can select with the, you can go with the basic ones. I am going with the standard B2S. You can have that knowledge as well. They are very well documented on the Azure official documentation. Also, you have to create a you can go select the authentication type. So you can go for the SSH public key. Also, you can go with the username or password approach. So I will go with username password approach. Like I will take a username as Mohsen, and the password should be like, oh, it's an confidential thing, so we can say, yeah, so we can confirm password here. Oops, I have missed, so I will rewrite the password. Okay, so here we can see, yeah, so we have confirmed the password as well. Now for accessing the VMs, we need to enable the ports on which we can access our VM. So as we are creating an Linux VM, so we can enable the port 80 as it runs, and Linux VM runs on HTTP port, so it is 80. So we can enable the port as well. So when you're creating first times, you can take care of these tabs as well. It's a good practice to tag your resources, or I'm just used to of creating VMs. So I just review and click review and create. Okay, so it will validate a few things. So it shows me to, yeah, so we can go again. So yeah, here you can get the screen that it is enabled, and it is now you are ready to create your resource or the VM. So just create on the VM, and after creating this, just click on the create button, so it will create the VM. So you can easily create your VM. So it will take some time, and you can easily access this VM. So for entering into the VM, you need that SSH way. So you have the public IP address assigned to this particular VM. So we can access that virtual machine from the username or the password we have set it. So we have not enough time, I guess. So maybe I will coming back to the presentation again. So you can have the overview that how can you create different services on cloud. So it isn't very easy to use. You can create through portal as well. Obviously, there are a few templates available that you can code with VS Code as well. So yeah. Now I will like to switch my screen again. Where it is, let me see. Okay, so now hopefully you are seeing my slide deck. So here we have the basic hands-on on the Azure portal. We have explored different services, or we have created an Azure VM. Also, although it will take some time, so I haven't showed how can we access, but I have just defined that how can we access this demo using the SSH and the IP address. Now, I want to talk about the Azure certifications. Why I have added this part? Because I want you to give a complete learning path. If you want to learn the basics of cloud computing, so you need to prove, because if you have learned some skills, so you need to prove in the markets. So there are a lot of advantages or benefits by completing these certifications. So this link will be sharing with you also in the chat, or we will be sharing on different platform as well. So these certifications are important to demonstrate your skills and expertise that you are using these Azure services. So Microsoft Azure provides a very fine learning experience. They have their learning path. So you can avail this, go to just this link, and you have multiple certification available. You can validate your technical knowledge and skills in different areas of Azure services. And you can, if you are more interested towards the administrative services, if you are more interested towards the development services, so you can validate your skills in every aspect. So Microsoft has three tiers, what I should say, or the three levels of certifications. They have the fundamentals ones, then we have associate one, and then we have the expert one. So if you are a beginner and you want to you have learned something basics about the different Azure service, that is also discussed in today's webinar as well. So also, so for you can go for the fundamental exam. So after understanding the basics of different cloud services, you can attempt the fundamental exam. There are variety of options available in the fundamental as well. You can go for the data engineering side on the AI fundamentals, that if I'm not wrong, it titles. Also, they have the Azure fundamental. It mostly relate to different Azure services. So it is a fundamental level of exam. After clearing the fundamentals, you can go for the associate ones. So these associate ones are some the more than the beginner level. So these are considered to be intermediate level of certifications. You can avail the certification. It requires some more knowledge than you just need to if you don't have that much knowledge, if I would recommend, if you are used to of using these cloud services in your daily practices, then you can avail these certifications. You can follow their learning path. They are very fine, and they are very helpful in your learning different cloud services. Also, after clearing the associate, you are eligible to attempt any expert level certification. So there are multiple areas for you can explore everything on with the Azure learning path. They have a good thing. I think we have already shared, or we will be sharing this link with you, so you can explore. So we have multiple certification available on the Azure that will help you in learning your Azure journey. I think that is all for today from my side. Thank you for bearing me this long minutes. And also, you can, if you have some queries, you can reach out to my LinkedIn. You can email me on Mohsin@Data Science Dojo as well. Also, we can have a Q&A if we have some questions. So over to you, Nathan.
Hey, Ali, thank you so much. We do have a few questions, and I think we should run through those. And then I will steal the screen from you to introduce next week's webinar. And then if we have any questions that come up while I'm doing that, we'll answer those as well. So first question, and I will answer this one, is where will the recording be available, and is the slide deck shared somewhere? The recording will be available on our website. If you go to datasciencedojo.com/tutorials, you'll also, and I haven't really talked to Ali, but because we're coworkers, I have a feeling we'll be able to add the slide deck as a resource to the recording. You could also go to our Data Science Dojo's YouTube channel, and again, we'll just add the slide deck as a link in the description there. So that's where you can find those things. But Ali, first question for you is from Zach, and actually the next two questions are from Zach. How does Azure compare with Snowflake? Does it matter that our particular company, I think is what he shortened that to, is not particularly wed to Microsoft apps?
Yeah, so it is more like the more than the basics discussion. So we can compare, because it depends on our use cases, what we are using. So if we want to use the Azure services commonly, so we can go for a simple Azure. So I don't have an overview of Snowflake much, so I cannot answer more clearly right now. So but we can I can reach out to you with some proper answer of this. Yeah.
Okay, and then Zach's second question is, the discussed solutions that you presented, are they all included in the basic Azure package, or are they something that you have to purchase separately?
Yeah, obviously, these are few are the extensive items or the cloud services we have in cloud. So you need to buy, you need to pay more than the free credit available. So you need to be, you can use these resources you have available of 200, I guess $200 free credit. So if you are using those solutions and they are advanced, obviously we need to pay more cost on the virtual networks if we want to deploy different some higher levels of resources, and then we need to then we need to get more credit as well. So we have to pay more than $200.